electric ovens. It's amazing. And I meet a former athlete turned baker with a passion for British patisserie.
Chelsea Bank.
I want to be unique one.
You are unique. I'm in Cape Town, searching out the exceptional bakes, bakers and bakeries that make this city special.
It's a carrot cake on steroids.
So far, it's been big, bright and bold, with bag loads of personality.
I've fallen in love with you, Karen.
And I've discovered that artisan baking is alive and kicking. Today, I'm going to explore a very different side of the city's bread scene. Despite huge strides forward, 37% of Cape Town's population still live in poverty, mainly in townships. But I've heard of an organisation called BreadRev who are literally changing lives. This company's been set up for the purpose of training people how to bake. They're passing on the knowledge and providing them with these amazing, what they call rocket ovens. And that I'm particularly interested in. So, I've come to the seaside suburb of Colt Bay, where BreadRev is based, to meet the owner, Jeremy Barty. He's training a group of underprivileged and underskilled youngsters to become bakers, literally giving them a means to make a living.
Jeremy! Hi buddy, how you doing?
Hi, Paul.
Nice to meet you.
Good,
Wow!
good, huh?
I was expecting to see a bakery, if I'm honest. What you've got here is a unit which is very industrial.
We do it all here. So we've got a sample bakery behind here and then a little test kitchen through there.
So tell me how this started.
Well, we sort of on this mission to develop the informal baking trade in South Africa. So we started off trying to get people to bake and then realized that they need ovens. So we started building ovens.
And Jeremy had to learn that skill from scratch.
Basically, everyone, this is Paul. So I'm just going to show him the oven quick. As you can see in here, this is our little training facility.
Yeah.
If you have a look down here, here's the fire in there.
Yeah.
It's a box within a box. So the air goes up, hits a buffer plate, it goes round and out, and well, it goes. And then you just have a look in there and you can see there's a couple of rolls and some breads.
That's great.
Busy baking, yeah.
Where did you learn this?
I basically looked for an oven because I thought, where can I find, you know, something that can run efficiently, because you can put any wood in there. You can see you just put scraps. Yeah. And in Africa, the rocket is a tradition that's 300 years old. So this rocket they actually make and put pots on and boil their thing. So the rocket technology, I thought, I wonder what about ovens? And I started looking around. Then I found the Americans, because the Americans love to tinker everything. And they were making rocket barrel ovens. I thought, okay, well, I want to try and commercialize that. So that's the brief.
Like, it's amazing.
Что нужно массировать, когда к вам обращаются с таким запросом? Спину далеко не всегда. Перестаньте мыслить, как все массажисты. Пора начать действительно помогать людям и зарабатывать при этом больше, чем сейчас. Жмите на синюю кнопку и регистрируйтесь на мой бесплатный онлайн-интенсив «Как научиться дорогостоящему массажу в мягких техниках». Меня зовут Станислав Чернонок, я телесный терапевт и кинезиолог с более чем 20-летним стажем работы. Я автор телесных программ школы векторного массажа и соматики. Разработанная мной система направлена не на лечение отдельных органов, а на оздоровление всего организма в целом. Мою школу закончили более 3000 человек из 50 стран мира.
На сегодняшний день я могу сказать, что это самое лучшее обучение за всю мою жизнь.
Это огромный арсенал востребованных техник.
Сейчас я с уверенностью говорю стоимость своего сеанса и готов уже увеличивать его цену.
Жмите на синюю кнопку и получите доступ к 3 дополнительным бесплатным урокам, где вы узнаете, сколько и как можно зарабатывать на массаже, принося людям пользу, помогая людям поддерживать и сохранять их здоровье. Увидимся на интенсиве.
Сейчас у меня свой кабинет, у меня своя практика, это моя основная работа.
Уже практикую, имею своих клиентов.
Вы научитесь вести социальные сети, презентовать себя как профессионала и получать стабильный поток клиентов.
После прохождения обучения я чувствую себя намного увереннее, чем в самом начале.
Мои клиенты стали все чаще и чаще записываться ко мне на ручные массажи, стали советовать друг другу. Естественно, что мой ценник вырос практически на 100%.
Вы обязательно здесь встретите новых друзей со всех точек мира.
Идите вперед, ничего не бойтесь, вы попали в самую лучшую школу на сегодняшний день.
Et salut tout le monde, ça vous dirait de gagner 217,54 € toutes les 8 heures? En fait c'est simple, il faut simplement activer un petit robot pour qu'il vous envoie jusqu'à 217,54 € toutes les 8 heures en automatique. Je sais, c'est fou. Ce robot il était programmé lui-même pour aller chercher des profits à votre place. Bon d'accord, vous demandez si c'est pas une arnaque de plus ou encore si c'est vraiment possible, c'est ça? Bon, je vous comprends, j'étais dans la même situation. Alors déjà, vous faites bien d'être sceptique, parce que vu le contexte actuel, il ne faut pas croire tout ce que l'on entend sur Internet. Mais Hervé aussi était sceptique, et pourtant en chômage depuis 8 mois, il a encaissé ce mois-ci 18 583,67 € grâce à ce petit robot. C'est fou, et Catherine, à 43 ans, a dépassé les 38 000 € de profit en à peine 2 mois. Alors d'accord, ils ne sont pas devenus millionnaires ou milliardaires, mais avec 217 € toutes les 8 heures, on peut se faire quand même pas mal plaisir, faire plaisir à ses proches, réduire ses mensualités de crédit, voyager, et au fur et à mesure du temps, avoir des beaux projets. Et surtout, avoir ce sentiment de liberté. Super précieux. Ce robot vous envoie cette somme même pendant que vous dormez, il suffit juste de l'activer. Alors à ce stade, vous vous demandez, ok, je veux l'activer aussi. Du coup, c'est simple, cliquez tout de suite sur le lien en dessous de la vidéo avant minuit, pour pouvoir y avoir accès tant qu'il reste des places. Les places sont super limitées. Alors évidemment, c'est légal et beaucoup de gens s'enrichissent avec ce robot. Il suffit juste de prendre le train en marche. Donc, let's go, allez-y et faites-vous plaisir. Ciao.
The beauty of Jeremy's rocket ovens, they not only work completely off the grid, they've been designed specifically with bread baking in mind, essential for its protégés to thrive.
How long have you been doing this then?
About 3 years ago, I built a 1-loaf oven out of 2 tin cans, and from there it sort of grew, and it was in my backyard and into a shed, and then it came here, and we registered the business about 6 months ago. So it's quite a new business. Wow. It's not. Yeah.
In those 3 years, Jeremy has made more than 40 ovens and trained over 40 bakers, and already there are 8 bread shops up and running.
Economics is a very important part of our drive because we want to be able to be competitive. This is the high hydration dough. It's about 90%.
Conventionally, most bakeries operate around 60. So when you do a lot of water in a dough, it naturally gives you more volume for your flour and therefore more bread, therefore more money when you sell it.
They can make 10 kilos of dough very easily. Just a few fold tucks and a very simple hand mix, and if they sell enough, then that's enough for a good little business.
Absolutely. Getting economics right is crucial for any bakery. Maybe I can share some tips on how to add value to their produce.
You can do anything you want, cuts, and all of a sudden the bread looks much bigger, and this makes it even crispier.
Nice, you're learning, you see, eh?
The other one you can do is obviously anything you have lying around, like cherry tomatoes. Once you've opened it up with your fingers, put your tomatoes in, then olive oil, a little bit of salt, bake that up. They're buying a sandwich, you're not buying a bread anymore. Do you guys enjoy this?
Yeah.
It's one of the oldest trades in the world. Baking, fishing and tax collecting. I love the fact that he's passing on the knowledge. I love the fact that he's helping people that are worse off than him. That takes a certain type of person in the first place. But to learn how to make ovens, to bring people in to help him, and then sell them to these people to set themselves up in a business, and then teach them how to bake. Look at that. That's what you get in an Italian ciabatta. I've seen bread like that in the middle of Palermo. I've seen them in Rome. That is to be applauded. Thank you for today. I've had a great time. I wish you all the success in the world.
Yeah, thanks
a million. Look after
yourself.
yourself.
Thank you.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye. I'd love to check out one of Bread Rev's success stories, and Jeremy has suggested I pay a visit to one of his bakers in a township north of Cape Town. So, I've got myself a hire car, and I'm picking up a guide.
Paul, do you think I should drive?
You could.
Can I?
No.
No?
Well, how do you use these gears?
So, front, up. Oh, excuse me. You got me there.
My counterpart on the Food Network here, Seba, has kindly offered to give up yet more of her time.
Woo-hoo, excuse me.
Seba grew up in a township, so I couldn't be in better hands.
It's very community spirited, and we even have a word for it, which is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu being a word that means a place where there's humanity, humility, and just, you know, being together.
It's that collective feeling.
It is a collective feeling, and it is hard, but you know what? People have come from the township like myself. We are driven.
Resilient.
Resilient.
Resilience is a
We
good
don't
word.
crack.
No, exactly.
We don't crack. We are now in Guguletu. We call it Gooks.
Gooks.
Yep. Sounding like a local already.
Although townships fare much better than they did under apartheid, they are still the poorest communities. People here have to be creative, like Tim Bile.
So should be around here, freshly baked bread for 10 rand.
A former athlete, following a stroke 4 years ago, Tim Bile reinvented himself as an artisan baker, with Bread Rev's help and one of Jeremy's ovens.
Hello! How are you?
Lovely to meet you. Hello.
Yes.
Wow, this is your bakery.
Yes, this is my bakery.
I love it. It's more garage industry than cottage industry. And Tim Bile is so busy, he even has a couple of employees, and together they bake more than just bread.
I fell in love with some certain products of baking, like the Chelsea buns.
Chelsea buns.
Yeah. So, they are not English, they are Jujuletua.
Jujuletua. Guguletu.
First up, Tim Bile scones.
Because it's the third reason. You can bite it, I want to raise in you.
That's a lovely scone. It's got a lovely taste. It's got a lovely back taste of the scone. The crumble is there. Texture is there in the scone. I'd have that with jam and clotted cream any day of the week. How long have you been baking for now?
3 years, 4 years.
Wow.
It's only the passion. And I believe in that. With no passion, your soul is asleep or absent. So you must have a passion to do anything you do.
Yes.
So I bake with passion.
Scones and Chelsea buns might be everyday bakes to us, but for the community here, this is really fancy stuff. They wouldn't have grown up on these bakes and ordinarily couldn't afford them. When you're making a Chelsea bun, you look for several criteria. You're looking for a soft crumb inside, a great taste, and a great colour. You've got all three of these.
Oh, really?
What I don't understand, how did you get to this level so quickly?
I was a Boy Scout. yes. Because in Boy Scouts, they believe that in creativity, you have to challenge yourself. I want to be unique, Paul.
You are unique.
Yeah, and I believe I want to be more unique.
Oh no, you won't stop with it.
Yeah.
World domination next. He's a natural baker. And he got there through very bad circumstances, but look what he's done. He's set up his own bakery. That's drive, that's ambition, and that's passion. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what baking is all about. Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Amazing.
Still to come. Wow. A Cape Townian dessert that exists nowhere else on Earth. That's a lot of spices, isn't it? Fascinated to see how this turns out. I've never seen so many spices in one dish. And I go all out for my final bake with a barbecue pie. This is going to be interesting. I've never done this before. We'll give it a...
Покупайте на Авито с доставкой от 49 рублей по всей России.
Give it a go.
My baking exploration of Cape Town is nearly over, but I couldn't leave without paying a visit to Bokan, a neighbourhood that's home to a Cape Townian style of cooking found nowhere else on earth.
It's lovely, aren't they?
To give me the lowdown, I've enlisted one of Cape Town's top chefs, Ruben Riffel. He's got 4 internationally acclaimed restaurants to his name and is best known for celebrating South African classics with a 5-star twist.
So Ruben, tell me a little bit about this area that we're in.
Back in the day, in the 1700s, the Dutch government of the time imported a lot of slaves, mostly from Indonesia, India, and Africa. And this is where most of the people settled. The cool thing is, this is where they still live. I think that's what makes it great. You know, these guys have managed to preserve all their traditions, especially when it comes to food.
The food is known as Cape Malay, and it's totally unique to Cape Town and the Western Cape. A fusion of African, Malaysian, Indonesian and Indian cooking. Dishes of spicy stews, curries, samosas and rotis. One of these local delicacies I have seen on signs around the city, the Cook Sister.
Hi, I'm Paul, nice to meet you. Hello. Thank you very much.
And Ruben has arranged for a local cook, Valdella, to show me how they are made.
This is a proper Cape Malay Cook Sister.
They may look like donuts, but they are made with a lot of spices.
In here, 2 cups of cake flour and a 1/4 cup of self-rising flour. Your 20 ml of oil, your 5 ml of vanilla essence. Baking powder, which is a teaspoon of baking powder. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Everything of the spices are teaspoons.
Okay.
Ruben, you're going to add all the dry ingredients.
All of them goes in here?
Everything goes in there. The Cape Malay Cook Sister, all of those goes in to give you that flavor. Okay? So your fine cardamom, your nightshade peel, salt, and your mixed spice. You have got your fine aniseed, your fine ginger, your cinnamon, and your fine allspice.
That's a lot of spices, isn't it?
Yes.
Wow.
And now your his.
Whole packet.
Whole packet. You got a cup of milk. You're going to take 2 tablespoons of butter into your whole milk, please. And that must melt. Ooh. Just beat up your egg with it quickly.
Fascinated to see how this turns out. I've never seen so many spices in one dish.
Once mixed into a smooth dough, that needs to rise for 1 to 2 hours, and then can be rolled into individual balls.
Playing with dough. Well, that's a bit too big, okay?
Is it?
Yes.
All right.
Look at mine and look at yours.
That's me told. Our not too big doughy spice balls are deep fried in hot oil, then dipped into sugar syrup and filled with desiccated coconut with yet more spices, cardamom and cinnamon.
Okay, let's have a look at this. Wow.
It's lovely.
I love it too.
I get the cardamom straight away.
Yeah.
And then there's so many complex things going on inside. Spices in a donut-like form, but it's so different. It's so delicious. It's not oversweet. It's not just spicy. It's a very complex flavour. The texture's very soft on your mouth. That's my very first one in my life.
I hope not a loss.
No, I'm going to make some when I get home now.
Thank you.
Because I've been taught by the master.
What a fantastic woman. Everything I've tasted here in Cape Town has inspired me to bake. And I want to make something that celebrates South Africa. Now, I know from my last visit that one of this country's favourite pastimes is braaiing. That's barbecuing to you and me.
We take it really seriously. We love food that's been cooked over fire, basically. My philosophy is that you can dry anything.
Well, I'm about to put that to the test. We're heading to the one and only hotel, home to one of Ruben's restaurants. Today, he's hosting a party and is letting me bake the main course for his guests. I'm going to make a braai pie. Yes, I'm going to make a barbecue pie, something I've never done before. First up, I need a strong dough.
To make the dough is straightforward enough. Now, they haven't got my usual fast-action yeast. I'm actually using fresh yeast. Sprinkle that in the flour, and then I'm going to add some sugar,
A little bit of sweetness will help it colour in the pie and keep the pie quite soft on the mouth. Salt. And then I'm going to add my liquid, which is oil and some water. Now I'm making this dough a little bit tighter than I normally would. Because it's going on a pile, I want it to be quite a firm dough.
Then it needs to be folded, rolled and stretched for a good 5 minutes.
Okay, happy with that dough. That dough goes to the side to start to rest, get a bit of air in there.
This braai pie is a two-man job. While I'm busy here, outside Ruben is making the filling, a springbok stew, a bit like venison.
Okay, there's my dough, beautiful and smooth. Now I'm going to start rolling it out using a rolling pin, nice and gently. The whole idea for barbecue for me is all about family coming down, friends coming down, loads of beers drunk, probably a rugby game on. If this works, I might try it myself back home.
I've got 2 pieces of dough, which is going to sandwich the meat filling in this contraption.
It's all a bit ad hoc. This is a bit like a waffle machine. Goes in, you can turn it over on the barbecue. So I'll lift this open, place this over that, 1/2, and I'll trim it down.
Which on this thing is easier with scissors.
Now this is the springbok that's been cooked on the braai, and it's been reduced down with wine, stock, it's got carrots in there, onion. It smells amazing actually. I'm not going to put too much in because I'm going to have to crimp this to seal it up so you can move it, you know. I'll keep it right in the middle. Get another sheet on top. Putting this thing to bed. Get my scissors.
I'm giving it another trim and crimping the edges.
That whole thing should go on the barbecue now. There it is, my brew.
That's beautiful. I like what you did there, man.
It's going to be interesting to see how the heat reacts with this. It's something quite primitive, isn't it? Standing over a braai.
Drinking a beer.
With a little bit of bok in there.
Have you had bok in a pie before?
No.
So it's a first.
It is. And the only time to do it is got to be in South Africa.
It's going to be, Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
It's the moment of truth for our braai pie.
It's all portioned off beautifully. Let's have a look.
Smells good.
Smells amazing. I like that. It's crispy, isn't it?
It's crunch, yeah.
It adds another element to it, doesn't it?
And that little bit there. I love that. There's something sophisticated about it.
There is.
Come summer, you've really got to try this at home. It's so simple. But there's one very important seal of approval I need.
Hey guys.
What do you think?
How's it going?
Do you know what it is?
Gotta taste that.
Try this.
Let me try.
It's a springbok,
Oh.
which has been cooked inside like a light dough. I like the flavour of that springbok. But I think the idea of baking the bread over a heat.
Listen, braais, I think. Tell him, Ruben. We can do anything, baking, cooking, everything on a braai.
I think you're right.
I love it.
I love the fact that you like it.
So when are you coming back?
I'm not going. I'm staying
I'm
here.
not going.
You didn't know that, did you? I'm staying here.
My second visit to Cape Town has been even better than my first.
It's a very special place. I think everyone should come here at least once in their lifetime and experience what it has to offer.
I've been completely blown away by the people and the baking in equal measure. Both are spirited, full of character, and put a big smile on your face. From traditional South African bakes to the new kids on the block, it's a melting pot of deliciousness.
It's a breakdown of many, many different things, Cape Town, and they come together to celebrate everything that's African. I love it.
Василисе интересно многое. Родителям интересно подарить то, что понравится Василисе. Но как понять, что именно? Подарите Яндекс-станцию Лайн. Всем интересный подарок.
I'm visiting the baking capitals of the world, uncovering the tastes, traditions, and the recipes of the world's best baking cities. I love coming into bakeries. From the historic streets of Palermo to the multicultural city of San Francisco. Welcome to City Bakes. City Bakes has actually taken me to the furthest northern point I've ever been to on the planet, Reykjavik, Iceland. What awaits me is a landscape of volcanoes, snow and ice. What on earth can they grow to bake here? This is going to be absolutely fascinating. This time, baking like I've never experienced before. This is outside cooking on another scale. I meet Icelanders putting their spin on classic bakes. That is proper bread. And locals who bake without rules.
If I do it like this, I get this.
I show you how to bake my Icelandic cake with yogurt right the way through the sponge. What we've got is something that's unique. And Vinaterta, my recipe of a traditional layered cake. There you have it, straight from Iceland. Welcome to City Bakes in Reykjavik. It's my first morning in Iceland's capital city. It's now 11 o'clock, 11:15 in the morning, and it's still dark. The sun's coming up, but it's very, very slow. Only 3 hours, 4 hours of daylight here in the middle of winter, so it seems to be permanently in a twilight. Although Iceland is a huge island, its population is only 130,000 people, and nearly 2/3 of those people live in or around Reykjavik. I'm here to explore the baking these Icelanders love, but first, I can't resist a little bit of sightseeing. How's about that for a church? Look at that. It's the tallest building in Reykjavik, and it's been built with concrete covering the outside to sort of look like cascading volcano. That is a cool church. And guess what? The best view of the city is right up there above the clock. Oh, I hope it's not too many steps. Ah, good. There's a lift. Pretty cool view. Iceland was one of the last places on Earth to be settled by humans when the Vikings arrived here in the 9th century. Look at the backdrop. You see the snowy mountains, the volcanoes. Because don't forget, the volcano that stopped all the air traffic years ago, this erupts regularly. Every 4 years on average, we are due for one. Before I head out, I need to get myself kitted up, Icelandic style. So I'm thinking knitwear. I was checking to see if it was itchy. Got really sensitive skin. Yeah. Could be the one. Did they have this in small? Unfortunately not. So I've chosen this one. Very Icelandic. Now I'm not really here for the Icelandic fashion, so I'm heading just outside the city to visit some extraordinary baking that could only happen here. I've been driving for about 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden the terrain starts changing. It's quite imposing, it's quite wild. most people think of Iceland, they think of this. Remote, rugged, cold. Uh-oh, so beautiful. Look at it. It's a stunning landscape, but one that is difficult for growing grain. Barley was one of the few crops that could survive Iceland's poor soil and short growing season. It's perhaps why Iceland doesn't have a rich history of baking. In fact, there was no professional bakery here at all until the early 19th century. Gotta get yourself in, haven't you? I'm fascinated to find out how the Icelandic people have turned this volcanic landscape to their advantage. People in Iceland don't shy away from the volcano, they embrace it. I'm going to go and meet someone who's harnessed the power of the volcano. So what I'm going to take you to is a bakery that bakes like no other bakery I've ever been to in my life. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be very, very special. Nestled in the mountains just outside Reykjavik is the small town of eVGENIY, and it's the home to baker Alma. Hello. How you doing? You alright? Good. Alma makes European-style breads, but also something uniquely Icelandic that I've never seen before.
I'm the third generation of bakers here in this house, and we always made geothermal bread, 70 years.
Geothermal ovens are different from these conventional ovens that I'm used to. In fact, I don't actually know what they are.
We always go outside to do it.
Because Iceland is a volcanic landscape, it has places where the heat erupts near the surface as geysers and hot springs, known here as geothermal parks. For generations, the bakers have harnessed this heat and built their own unique ovens. So what?
Inside this is the geothermal.
So you've got it on a pipe that comes round and feeds these?
Yeah. Over here is the Geothermal Park.
Yeah. So from there, it then gets fed to here. So you're effectively steaming your bread?
Yeah, basically.
Wow, okay. And steaming here for 18 hours is one of his special rye breads.
Shall I take it inside?
Yeah, absolutely. It's cost Alma nothing but time to finish this loaf. So what is this made from?
We have rye flour,
Yeah.
sour milk,
Yeah.
water, sugar.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. That is incredible. Can I cut a little slice off to have a look? It's amazing. I mean, this is made by Mother Nature and Father Nature.
It's just, the texture is a little bit like a cake.
It's like a sponge pudding.
Yeah.
It looks like a sponge pudding. Let's have a quick look. It is the most amazing thing I've seen being baked using nature. Thank you. That's delicious. Now, all I want to do now is get stuck in myself. Can we make something together?
Yeah, we can do that.
Alma suggests we celebrate my visit by doing a bit of an experiment. He's been working on a recipe for a fruit loaf that uses Icelandic barley. This is going to be fascinating.
First we use the sour milk.
Yeah. In there?
Yeah.
До Нового года осталось совсем мало времени.
Ну, ребята, у нас сегодня будет с вами прям тяжелый люкс. Дед Мороз!
Ёлки, смотри на Иви.
In with that sour milk goes the barley flour, the star of this bake.
Baking powder. Okay.
There's your rising agent going in. Is it big enough with all this?
Yeah, I hope so.
We're using rich fruit, dates and cranberries, then sugar. Do you have to use a lot of sugar when you're doing these geothermal stuff to get the colour?
It's traditional.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Who am I going to argue with tradition? Orange syrup will give a bit of an extra zing. After a few minutes mixing, it's transferred into an unusual cooking pot, a reused plastic bucket.
Yeah, that's lovely. Then I just put a lid on it and go to Geothermal Park.
And we're going to bake this one right amongst the hot springs and geysers next door. This is exciting.
This is the Geothermal Park here.
It's incredible. It's like being on an alien planet. underneath here we have active volcanoes underneath.
Yeah.
And this is what's heating the water and sending it up.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
This town was built around this area.
Yeah, deliberately.
Yeah, because it's cheap to heat up the house.
Oh, something bubbling over
Yeah,
there.
there's some bubbling there.
It's
It's a small geyser.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Okay, here we have that.
There's our oven.
Yeah.
Look, I am here. The steam has a faintly sulphurous smell to it. It's not unpleasant.
And you just put it inside. It's about half a liter.
See you, little fella.
Yeah.
This is outside cooking on another scale.
Better come back tomorrow and
We'll check it out.
yeah.
Knowing that it's this that's going to cook the bread is incredible. The earth is alive, it's bubbling. Every inch of that water that runs through here, you can boil an egg in. You couldn't touch it, you scald yourself. Oh, it's died down now. It's just amazing. It's Mother Nature at its best. Our pot is going to be sitting in the volcanic steam for a good 18 hours. I'll be back tomorrow to taste it. I've already seen some amazing baking, and I can't wait to see what else this city has to offer. Over the last 20 years, international baking has had a big effect on Reykjavik's baking, and nowhere more so than one of the most popular bakeries in town. This looks pretty good. Sandholt Bakery has been family run since the 1920s, and the current baker is the multi-award-winning Asgeir Sandholt. Hello. Hello. Under his father, this place was a traditional Icelandic bakery, and Asgeir still makes the deep-fried sweet dough twists from that time, known as kleina. Do you remember these as a little boy?
Yes, I remember this. My father still loves this a lot. And if I don't have it in the store,
Does he shout?
he shows up and makes it.
The family tradition is to serve them with skyr, a yogurt which is peculiar to Iceland.
Skyr is extremely dry, so I mix it with a little bit cream to make it a little bit more nice. We can just cream this.
And for some sweetness, an Icelandic blueberry coulis.
But you should try.
Lovely. The blueberry, the cream, the yogurt, the kleina, together is a really nice rounded dish. Whilst the kleina belongs to his father's time, Asgeir's own baking has influences from much further abroad.
This is a pumpkin whole wheat bread, sourdough, and this one is made with 10% rye. And I'm buying it from 2 different companies in Italy.
Yeah.
And then we sometimes get some experimental flour from Saudi Arabia and different places, because we really wanted to find flours which would interest us.
You have a look at that. That great crumb, great structure, and a great flavour. I didn't expect to find such exotic flowers in Iceland. But croissants, of course, well, they're baked everywhere. But even these, Asgeir is rethinking.
In Iceland, they make croissant by just taking the French bread dough. Now, I really wanted to make a really nice, proper croissant. So I take the milk and the butter and the salt and the sugar. I melt it all together, and then I make a croissant syrup.
He ferments this unusual syrup for 3 days, which gives an extra flavour to the final dough. He's so particular, he even has his own butter made for him.
The fat quantity in the butter was 70% when I started. So I went into process with him, working with him, and I changed their butter into 81%.
Nice colour inside. Tastes good. So you're changing the French croissant into an Icelandic one. You're bettering their croissant.
Yes. If a French tourist comes to Iceland and tastes my croissant, I want him to miss it when he goes back to France. And then my goal is achieved.
This guy is bold. Who dares to be better than the French at croissants? I love seeing baking that's been thought through and is not stuck in a rut. That is the future of Icelandic baking. Right there. Coming up, a hipster baker making sourdough like I've never seen before.
I don't have a proper recipe for the bread. That's also fun part.
And I make my Icelandic-inspired sponge cake.
Now what we've got is something which is unique.
Looks good.
I'm exploring the capital of Iceland, Reykjavik, and I'm beginning to realise how unique it is.
I'm actually on my way to what's alleged to be one of the coolest bakeries in Reykjavik. And it's run by a guy called August. Looks pretty funky, doesn't it?
On a Saturday morning, locals flock here for their fresh loaves. I've come a bit later to avoid the masses and to meet the man behind all the fuss.
August.
Lovely to meet you, August.
August is one of the new wave of bakers in the city, and he's very much doing his own thing.
How did you get into baking?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I needed to take an apprenticeship. And I knew at the bakery I got free donuts when I was off. I knew I would go home with something, so that's why I chose the bakery. And then I moved to Denmark and finished my education there.
Equipped with new skills, he came home to Reykjavik to bake.
Okay, I can only see 3 different types of bread. Is there a reason for that?
I mean, keep it simple.
Can I see your products? Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
This is a Danish flour called Öland. It's a very common thing in Denmark.
Yeah.
And
wow.
We raise it only with sourdough mother.
Yeah.
And salt and wheat. That's it. I don't have a proper recipe for the bread. That's also the fun part.
Yeah, so you go by the feel.
Yeah, and I put as much water as I like.
It's got a lovely flavour. I can taste the zing from the sour, which is quite potent. The crust is fantastic. That is a great sourdough.
That one is einkorn.
Einkorn is one of the earliest wheats, first grown 5,000 years ago.
That's got a much nuttier smell.
Yeah.
Much nuttier. It's crispy. Imagine that toasted in the morning with a bit of jam.
Should we make that one?
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll try.
I'm intrigued by August's low-fuss approach.
This is a Danish flour and produced in Denmark, einkorn.
Quite expensive?
Extremely expensive. Extremely good.
You're operating in quite a small area, aren't you?
Yeah, I like it. I'm lazy as well, so I don't like to walk too much. And here we have sourdough mother. My recipe is quite simple. We put 2.5 liters of sourdough in a bag.
He blends his expensive einkorn with regular flour to get the perfect mix.
Do you know what the protein level is?
No clue.
I'm going to clap. Okay.
And to be honest, I'm not a nerd.
Okay.
And I don't know why some of the things happen that I'm doing. It just happens.
It just happens.
If I do it like this, I get this.
I love it. I love the haphazard nature, but it just works.
August's freestyling technique is really unusual. Baking is considered normally a precise art, but not in this bakery.
Well, I start with 30 liters of water, and then I just add and add and add constantly.
Yeah.
After a long 24-hour prove, it's baked straight away. The dough is very wet and just sprinkled with pumpkin seeds and barley.
Покупайте на Авито с доставкой от 49 рублей по всей России.
Now, then I cut it like in half. Cut it, and then I just so it doesn't stick to the loader.
Yeah.
It's kind of tricky handling dough this wet.
It's too big. It's too big, this. I normally have one about that big. It's massive.
It's easier to work with when you have it so big.
See, that's the trick. He doesn't need or shape his dough, it's just stretched.
And that's basically how we do all our bread. Like, we're not spending time on shaping, weighing and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
But on the other hand, people get also different sizes of bread and that is accepted.
Yeah.
Should you load it?
Yeah.
And with that, it's baked. August might not be baking by the classic methods, but it works for his customers. Earlier in my visit, I tried the Icelandic yogurt skyr. It has been part of Iceland's diet since the 9th century, but recently I've seen it for sale back home in England. I'm intrigued to discover what it is, so to help me find it on the supermarket shelves here, I'm meeting local food author Eva Leify.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you here.
And she's offered to show me how skyr can be used in baking.
The texture is a bit like yogurt, maybe thicker. Yeah. But it's one of the oldest dairy products we have in Iceland. This is like the plain original skyr.
Well, it is like a yogurt then, isn't it?
It's more sour than a yogurt. It's more thicker.
Skyr is said to be healthier than many similar yogurts. It's often almost fat-free, with higher protein and calcium levels.
My grandma used to give this to me. She put sugar in it and cream, and we got it like every night, and my grandma used to eat it all the time. And now, these days, because our generation, they need more sugar and more flavor, so these brands, this with chocolates, baked apples, vanilla.
So the kids tended to go for, nowadays, they tend to go with the more flavoured ones, but the older generation
go for the original ones.
Have you got one?
Yep. That's not the only thing I would like you to try out.
Right.
Because the liquid, when they were doing this back in the days, the liquid that you drain out of the skyr, called mesa, people used to drink that.
Right.
Donna, do not be afraid. But people used to drink this, and they said it was like the healthiest drink you can get.
Do we need that as well?
Yeah, we're gonna taste it. Take a shot of it. Why not?
Okay.
Don't be so excited.
No, I'm a little bit nervous.
I've used yogurt in baking for years, so how skyr works in Eva's recipes back home, I can't wait to see.
It's a bit windy, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Okay. It's
Good
not.
weather.
I'll put my shorts on.
Here we got the vanilla old-fashioned skyr cake.
Now this is a set cake, so you've got skyr in there. Have you got icing sugar in there? Have you got
Icing
sweetener?
sugar, a little bit of vanilla beans.
It looks good.
I thought skyr was going to be quite sour, but it's been sweetened beautifully. And actually the jam on the top, again, adds another layer of sweetness. So actually together, biscuit, the cheesecake, and then the topping, yeah, that's a fantastic cheesecake.
That's great.
I love that, yeah.
And we'd like to try the skirmisu.
Oh, go on then, skirmisu.
Skirmisu.
Ava's replaced mascarpone with skyr, so this should be a healthier, low-fat version of tiramisu.
That's a nice tiramisu.
Could you feel the difference of using mascarpone cheese and skyr?
Can't notice the difference. I like that. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Now, whether this miesa tastes as good, I'm not sure.
There you go. Cheers, of course.
Cheers.
It's the liquid byproduct from making the skyr.
Oh, that's sharp, isn't it?
My granddad used to drink this all the time, and we would smell it and disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's better than I thought it would be, because I haven't tasted it in many years.
Right. Now it's my turn
Yeah,
to.
it is.
It's my turn to bake skyr. I've made yogurt cake before, and I'm thinking skyr could be in replacement of the yogurt to create quite a light sponge.
My recipe uses skyr as part of the sponge mixture, which should keep it really moist. And I've also got it layered inside with jam in place of cream.
So what we've got the eggs. I'm going to crack them straight in.
You're actually cheating me, because I never use skyr in this kind of baking. I use it in fresh cakes, just with whipped cream. So you're teaching me how to bake.
I'm using vegetable oil, sugar, and the star, the low-fat skyr. So give us a little bit of a whisk.
Yeah.
To the wet, add the dry. Plain flour, baking powder, and ginger.
I love baking because it reminds me of my family, my grandmother and my mother. The home was always filled with cake smell.
When it's blended and smooth, fill 2-line tins.
I'm just going to relax it down to the corners.
Why'd you do that?
It's just to equal it out, just level it out a little bit.
This needs around 25 minutes to bake.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
And once cooled, it's ready for filling.
Now, I'm going to put skyr in the middle. I'm going to dollop it onto the cake.
I'm really excited for tasting it. It looks good.
Now, I've got this
Rhubarb jam.
rhubarb jam.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put a little drizzle of this on the top. Okay, so I'm just going to put some of this through the skier to a nice blend. Then place the other sponge on top with a little dusting of icing sugar to finish.
Oh, beautiful.
Now what we've got is something which is unique, something that Eve has not tried before, but I think you need to try a little slice. There it is, my delightful Icelandic-inspired skyr sponge cake.
I loved how you used the Icelandic ingredient skyr and to make this big cake. I've never done it before and I can't wait to show my family and friends.
Coming up, I head back to the Geothermal Park with Almar to taste our barley bread. It's really good. That's special though. And I visit a restaurant serving Iceland's most traditional dishes. I mean, that looks hideous. Iceland is turning out to be a land of firsts for me. I've left a bread baking in geothermal steam overnight.
Then I come back tomorrow and
check it out.
Yeah.
And discovered skyr, a healthy Icelandic yogurt. A short drive outside Reykjavik is somewhere I've been fascinated to see for years. It's the famous Blue Lagoon. Yeah, look at it, that's it over there. Look at the steam pouring off it. This is Iceland's biggest tourist attraction. Locals started bathing here in this man-made pool in the 1980s and soon found that the mineral-rich water helped calm many skin complaints. But no, I'm not going for a dip. Swimming pools have never really been my thing. What I love is this incredible landscape. There's something magical about being surrounded by what is basically a bit of a lava flow. This is all the lava from an eruption. But if you look at this here, look at the colour of this water. Come here, look at this. That power station over there, they're pumping up the geothermal water from the ground. And it's really hot. I mean, it's boiling. You could boil an egg in it. It's cooled off during the rotors, and then it's pumped into these pits. And the one round the corner there is where the people bathe, and it's 40 degrees. It's like a hot tub. But it's so spooky. It's like being on another planet. It is really strange. Growing up in the world, never thought I'd see places like this. I've never seen lava in almost its purest form, this big, bulky, aggressive black rock. It's quite imposing. And it's everywhere in Iceland. The whole island is like this. It's cool though, isn't it? Yeah? Back in the city, I've come to meet a young guy who's keeping the cuisine of old Iceland alive in these modern times. In a converted salt factory, chef Steinar Svensson and owner Elmer Blackman have set up a restaurant. They've offered to cook up a couple of dishes for me, which they promise will be like nothing I've eaten before. This is where it all came from.
This is where it came from.
Their guiding principles were all recorded in the 1940s in this book by Helga Sierradottir.
She's a legend, this lady. She traveled across the country, talking with farmers, talking with housewives, talking with Icelandic people, finding old recipes, and she put it all down for us.
She's the godmother?
Yeah.
She's the godmother of Icelandic cuisine.
Our main focus is the Icelandic population. We want to make them feel proud of their Icelandic food tradition and discover it again.
Sounds great. I'm hungry. Bring it on.
So Paul, this is the concept.
I did not expect this.
Doesn't it look a bit scary? A little bit colourless?
This is a long way from fish fingers. It's the same fish, Icelandic cod, but the recipe glazes it with seaweed and chicken stock. I mean, that looks hideous.
Yeah, it does.
While the head gets a good roasting, they have another recipe for me.
You've done plenty of meringues in your life, right? Yeah. So let's try something different. I have lamb's blood.
Right.
So we're going to do a blood meringue.
Delicious.
But we're going to spice it up a little bit with thyme and some bilberries.
Blood meringue?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, let's go.
There are no egg whites in sight.
Okay, blood.
Just a pint of fresh lamb's blood.
Sugar?
Little bit sugar and special herbs.
I can't believe that a blend of blood, sugar and herbs could possibly be a meringue. But once baked and served very prettily with skyr yogurt and berries, it looks quite presentable.
Dig in.
Okay.
I mean, you can taste the iron.
Actually, it tastes like a meringue.
Yeah, exactly.
It tastes like a sweet meringue. You wouldn't know there's blood in there. The blood meringue is delicious. I can't believe I'm saying that.
The cod's head has now had a good 40 minutes roasting.
Voila.
Now that looks 10 tons better than it did before.
As it's roasted gently, the glaze needs a blast of heat.
So you're caramelising it?
Yes.
Before it's ready, the feasting on.
It's beautiful.
You just dig in.
Best parts, but of course there's a lot of meat on top here and underneath the ice.
It tastes nothing like how it looks.
It's beautiful. It's barbecue flavour. It's cold. It's just meaty. It melts in the mouth. I'm really shocked, and it's not very often I'm lost for words.
Clearly, the Icelanders in history were frugal and had to use everything. But as the recipes prove, they understood good flavours.
What you just introduced me to is this young lady's food, and you kept it alive.
So it's a good shock.
Absolutely. That food is unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you.
Yesterday, I visited a baker who bakes using the natural geothermal heat coming from the ground around his bakery. We experimented with making a fruit loaf using Icelandic barley flour, and this evening I'm returning to bring the loaf out of the ground.
This is going to be curious. My first geothermal baking experience. Alma, hey, how are you? Nice to see you again. You're nice. Hiya. How's the bread? Do you think it's good?
Yeah, you see?
All right.
So look at it.
Somewhere in all this sulphurous steam is our experimental bake.
Right. Let's have a look.
Yeah, there it is.
Right, let's give this a go, shall we?
With his bakery closed for the day, we're going to test the loaf in the community greenhouse, which, because of all the free heat from the ground, is able to support Icelandic banana plants and grapes. This country's nuts.
What I'm smelling, Alma, is a Christmas pudding.
Just pop it on.
Wow. I've got to cut into this. Oh, it's roasted. Look at that. Grab yourself a piece.
It's really good.
That's special, that.
Good experiment.
Yes.
It isn't like Almar's usual rye bread. The barley and dried fruit are blended together to create a perfect, slowly steamed pudding.
You've got a slight back note of barley in there.
It's fruitier. Much more fruitier.
Yeah. It's sweeter. Do you think it's
Yeah,
sweeter as well?
that's not funny because there's less sugar in this bread.
I think it's the fruit that's carrying the sugar, so it's better for you, and it costs nothing to bake it.
And we're also using Icelandic barley.
Yes, you are. You created something that's unique, but it's been baked by the earth itself. It's very special. I'll remember that bake.
Okay.
The first time I've been a part of baking something that's using a volcano's heat to heat the water to cook the pudding. I need to take this back to the UK if you don't mind, Alma.
You're welcome.
This is a volcanic Christmas cake. That is fantastic. Thank you very much, Alma. Much appreciated. You're a hero. Thank you.
Leaving the warmth of the greenhouse makes the Icelandic nights seem colder.
The temperature has dropped in the last hour or two. I know it's gone dark, but this has been one of the colder nights.
There is a slim chance that if I'm lucky, tonight I may get to see those magical shapes that dance across the sky, the Northern Lights.
Now, you grew up with the Northern Lights.
Yeah, I've seen it a million times.
Is it something you just go, Northern Lights?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think we Icelanders, we stopped looking at them, but in the recent year we are starting to look up again, because the tourists are telling us how beautiful it is,
Yeah.
and we are just, okay.
I'd love to see them. You know?
Good luck for that.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah. See you again.
My drive back to the city might give me that chance.
This is the snowy plateau just before Reykjavik, before it drops down into Reykjavik. And I did see some stars before, and I'm hoping that there might be a little few breaks in it to see if we can see the Northern Lights. What's really weird is sometimes you get like a slight red hue. Maybe it's my eyes just playing tricks on me because I want to see it so badly.
I've got the clear skies, but it's solar activity from the sun that causes the lights.
Been here about half an hour now. The moon's come out. Look at that. How pretty is that against the snow-capped mountains there? And we have got a huge, almost horizon to horizon clear sky. You can see all the stars. Come on. Little what? Little flare. Leave it. As you can probably see, it's beginning to rain and snow now. And what little light we did have, the wind is so strong, it's just blowing it. It's just blowing all that clear sky away. So, no Northern Lights tonight.
Coming up, I discover a bread that's as delicate as a winter snowflake.
Oh, wow, I should have brought my glasses.
And I'll be baking Reykjavik's delicious layered Wienerterter cake. Word seems to have got around that I'm exploring the baking of Reykjavik, and the city's mayor, Dagur Eggertsson, has invited me round to his family home for a bit of seasonal baking.
Hello, Dagur.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Please come in.
Dagur has offered to show me a traditional bread that gets made once a year before Christmas.
Hello,
This is
nice
my
to-
wife.
Hello, nice
That's
to meet you.
nice.
Hello.
This is Eggert,
Yes.
Heiða, Steinar, and Moa.
So what is all this then?
So this is leaf bread.
This seems more like a craft session than a bake-up. This leaf bread is made of paper-thin dough that Anna has pre-bought. And everyone is cutting the most intricate patterns into them.
So you want to cut them, then you deep fry them.
I'd be interested to see how they react in the fryer to see what type of dough it is, you know.
Yeah.
I'm curious to have a go myself, actually.
This ancient tradition comes from a time when wheat was imported and expensive. What they had was rolled very thin so the whole family could have a piece for Christmas, with the cutting tools handed down the generations.
Oh, I see. That's a great little thing, that, isn't it?
It is. And the conventional thing is then to take every second one and kind of fold it. So it's almost like the...
It's like lattice.
Nice Icelandic sweater kind of.
Yeah.
I'm glad I dressed for the occasion. This tradition brings everyone together. Even the mayor finds time.
You look quite young to be a mayor. You're the youngest mayor I've ever met.
Is it an old man sport?
In the UK, yeah.
Reykjavik is, I mean, cities in general actually are very interesting things. And they are growing and they are creating jobs and quality of life, or failing at it.
Yeah.
And so it's a real privilege to have this job actually.
Reykjavik is one of those real curiosities that you hear so much about Iceland, but actually when you come here and do a bit of digging, it's such an amazing, eclectic place. And the passion of the people is very strong.
It's very nice, and maybe that's kind of an island mentality. We know that we are not many, and we know that kind of interesting things come out of mixing things together that come from different places. And so we very much cherish that people go abroad, but we really want them to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
And bring with them influences from all over the world.
Wow, I should have brought my glasses.
Shall we try this one?
Yes. Wow, that's active.